welcome to Talking Bridal with Bridezilla.
Thank you.
And today I have the wonderful Beth, team member Beth. Welcome. Thank you for joining me.
I'm so excited to be here. You have no idea.
I could tell when you came in, you were like, oh, I've never done a podcast.
Yeah, it's a mixture between like nerves, excitement, like am I gonna hopefully like I'm gonna say the right things, and you know.
Well, it's one of those things where I feel like when I did my first podcast, honestly, I was so nervous because actually I got interviewed here first, and then I was obviously now the person that sort of interviews. But I was like, the whole time I was sat there and I was like, you'll see it if you watch it back on YouTube. It's terrible. I was so, I was sat on my hands, my palms were all sweating and I didn't really know what to say. And I was like, I absolutely hate this. Whereas now it's actually, you get into it and you're just like, we are just having it. It's just a conversation. Yeah. So, and I feel like I do throw any new team members that come on board. I'm like, the first thing I say to you is like, oh, you do have to. I think it's even written in the contract. You do have to come and do a podcast.
Yeah, I'm up for that.
Because it's really important. It's really important, I think, for our our booked brides or potentially brides that are coming through Bridezilla, and also for yourself because you've got your own brand within its own rights. You're working as a hairstylist, bridal hairstylist, that people can just get to actually see you and your personality. And it's sometimes when I have inquiries that come through and I'm matching brides with potential team members, a lot of brides do gravitate sometimes more towards one team member than the other because they're like, actually, I really like, say Beth's style, or I like, Sabrina's looks or whatever. Yeah. But also when they see your personality as well, they can really connect to you. So I'm really happy that you've come today.
And I guess like on a wedding morning, like that's so important to be comfortable in the people that are around you, like with suppliers and photographers and things like that. Like it's so important. I feel like that you've got to feel comfortable. And
it's important for them to sort of connect, be able to connect with their supplier.
Absolutely.
And some people will kind of look at that and go, oh yeah, isn't she lovely? I want to get to know her.
I hope so.
So let's get to know you. I mean, I know you. But I feel like, so you've come on board with the Bridezilla team this year, which is super exciting. And originally you came to me on one of my training days.
Do you know what? So I was following you for a little while, and then I saw that you've got the training academy separate to your wedding Instagram account. So it's like, oh, she does training, because I looked at all your work and I was like, oh my god, like I don't want to sound like a creep, but I was like, I want to be like Kelly.
I just want to be.
I want to be like Kelly.
I want to be. I want to be like that.
I want to be.
That's
like Kelly. So I need to be in with Kelly. So I was like,
I need to get my foot in that door.
Yeah. So
oh, bless you.
So when I saw that you did training, I was like, yes. So I obviously pinged over a message and got going with the training, and it was amazing.
We had such a lovely day.
It was so good.
Yeah,
and it was what I needed at the time to get myself kick-started, like confidence building and things like that. Because it's so hard. Like I think being self-employed, you get yourself into like a little bubble.
Yeah,
you know, and it's only you that that you have, sort of thing. So it's like when you work in a salon, you've got other people to big you up, or or help,
other people to
speak
to.
And so I feel like when we're self-employed, you kind of have to go out and do external training and things like that. So I was like, I definitely want to do hair up, and obviously saw that you did training, so I was like, yes, I'll get on that.
I'm gonna come.
Yeah, and it was such a good day. Like
we had a lovely day.
I was talking about it for weeks.
Oh,
even now I'm like, oh.
I think it is one of those things, and I think it was like coming out of lockdown and everything like that. And there's a lot of, like, say, when you're self-employed, it can be quite a lonely little journey when you're on your own. And I feel like in bridal hairstyling, I really struggled when I was younger to actually find somewhere where I could train. And there wasn't really much out there, but I feel like now, obviously Instagram's blown up, everyone's out there, but there's still there's not a huge amount of training specifically in bridal hair. Local, shall we say, to our area.
This is the thing. Like, I was like, I'm okay going to London, but I don't really want to do that. Yeah. But I was quite particular. Yeah. So it's like I wanted someone that really knew what they were doing. But then I didn't want to travel to London. Yeah. It's just stressful.
Yeah, some people don't like it. I mean, I love London, but I do get it, like why, some people don't. So, and I've spoken before many times where my go-to trainer in London is Kasia Fortuna and Christina, because they are the best. Yes. That's where when I found them online, I was like, this is who I need to go to. Yes. This is the place.
They're the top dogs.
They are the top dogs. Yeah. Yeah. So I've kind of like taken on board everything and then just kind of, started doing up my own training. So that's, when you came along, but the thing is now you're a part of the team. Yes. Which is incredible, because I know you came for the training day, and to be fair, you did, it's not like you were starting from scratch. You're already established hairstylist. You're very good at what you do.
Thank you.
What we produced that day was brilliant, and you went away with some really lovely content. Yeah. But what you've been doing since then, because I stalk my previous students, and I when I'm looking at your Instagram, you really took everything away and you practiced. I could tell you were like practicing, perfecting your techniques so well. And then you came back to me as a model, didn't you? Because I was doing some other training, and you said, I think I was doing a Hollywood Wave training day. So you came back as one of the models for one of the other students, and we got chatting. And then you just kind of reached out, it was probably about a year later, about, joining the team. And I thought, do you know what? Let's do this, because I could really see how much you wanted it, but also how much you do put into it. You put everything into your work. No, 100%. I do notice, and your enthusiasm as well that you bring to the team. You're really eager to learn. You want to kind of be out there. And you are very much one of the girls now. So tell us a little bit about you, Beth. Who is Beth? I know you've been. How long you've been in the hairdressing, what got you into bridal?
Where do I begin? So when I left school, I originally wanted to be a social worker with kids. Yeah. And I kind of had this panic moment where I was like, I haven't got the life experience to deal with that. Yeah. And the confidence and things like that. And I went to my dad and I was like, what am I going to do? And he said, well, you're quite creative and all this. Why don't you try like hairdressing? And I was like, yeah, all right. Just so casual. So I was like, yeah, okay. So I got an apprenticeship in a salon. Absolutely loved it. I loved it. Just in Basingstoke, so local to here. And then I moved salons, and it was like really modern and really busy. And we did lots of training in London and things like that. And I always wanted to do hair up. Yeah. Like, I always wanted to do that, but I think I had, like, a little bit of confidence issues there. Because the salon that I was working with didn't really go into too much into hair up. It was just, like, like, colours and things like that. Yeah. So I did, like, any sort of little bit of time that I had, I did a little bit of hair up,
Sort of self-taught yourself. Yeah. I think that is a problem. It still is it's still a massive problem to this day that salons, when you do apprenticeships, I had the same issue. Yeah. They kind of just skim over very basic hair ups.
I think it's just a
like
French
one
braid.
style, like a French braid or a pleat or something like that. We had to learn to do, and that was it. So there was nothing else out there. And I actually reached out to a local college. And just out of interest, and said, what are you, in terms of bridal stuff, what are you teaching? And they don't even have it in their course, in their 2-year course. They don't have a module on bridal, which really still, like, makes me go, what?
Why?
And I offered to go in and teach, and they were like, no. And I was like,
I mean, how can you turn that down?
Yeah, I'm like, I can come and do some training, but it's really hard. So I think if you're really passionate about that, which clearly you were, same as me, same as the other girls in the team, you kind of then have to just find your own way, don't you, of doing it.
Exactly. And I think that's kind of when I sort of found you. So from there I had my children. I moved away from the salon because I wanted to build my own business, and I needed to sort of separate myself from that. And it's been more flexible around my two girls. Like I say, I've become self-employed, and then sort of thought, well, do you know what? Life is way too short to be unhappy in your job. Like, I'm always driving for happiness in my job. And, and I was just trying to build up clients and things like that. But I knew, because I'm a creative person, and I always find, like, yes, cutting and colouring is creative, but it's got its limits. So when someone goes, oh, I just want an inch off, that's what you're doing. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas like with hair up, it's like, oh, I can do this and I can do that, and your hair will do this, and it's so much more creative. I feel anyway.
It is a form of artwork, isn't it?
Oh, and I just love it.
And I think people will say, to us all the time, oh, you're so creative. Oh, how do you do? But there's so many different forms of creativity and art. Sometimes, one of my brides, I think, said to me before or in a review, and it was like, oh, my hair was a work of art. And I was like, oh, but art at school for me, I mean, I was rubbish. I did do it. But if you asked me to paint a picture or draw, I could not do it.
Abstract.
Awful. Yeah, abstract. Couldn't draw, can't do stuff like that. But obviously hair, form of, I guess, sculpturing. I don't know. Maybe I should have done pottery. I don't know. But it's definitely, you can be so much more creative, and no two hair ups or hairstyles are ever the same. So there's so many different ways you can go with it. And I feel like it's not just that, but it's the whole being in the wedding industry, being in the real thick of a bridal morning. And I think I was just saying to John on a previous podcast, we were talking about that we're so lucky to be in have a job and a career that we're getting paid for, that's actually so much fun.
Exactly.
We're so lucky, we're so lucky. And I think that's why as well, I wanted to sort of, get more of a team on board, because I think when you're in a really good job and you're really happy in your work, it's so nice to be able to share that with other people as well, and have that kind of, point of contact and friends within the industry that you can enjoy that with as well, and work on some weddings together.
A network of people that get it as well, isn't it? That are in the industry, that if you need any help or need any support or whatever, like they all do, they get it, don't they? And it's so lovely to have that.
And I think everyone does. I mean, I know our little community is great, and we sort of have people, and we have a WhatsApp. We have a couple of different WhatsApp groups, actually, don't we, for Bridezilla? But the one that's just team chat, I mean, anything goes on there. So, just random stuff. But also, everybody knows that everyone's got each other's back. If someone's got someone popped something on there the other day about what light to use for something, like anything at all. But also, which I thought was important the other day as well, which I was going to mention, was the fact that the post that went out about the makeup artist, I won't sort of mention names, but the makeup artist who'd had this issue with this man posing as a woman that was contacting via their personal, phone number, which is on their website. And how these men are taking advantage of single, well, obviously she's not single, but someone that's a solo artist, a makeup artist. She's doing so well in her business, and of course, why shouldn't she have her contact number on her website? But the fact that some men are using this in a really inappropriate way to make contact,
that was awful.
So we were just having that little discussion, weren't we, in the group chat as well, about that. Any red flags, as well, when you're within a team, everyone's got your back. We've got Jodie, who's the first port of call, who will literally, she's like a sniffer dog. If she smells anything, red flaggy, she will, so everyone's got each other's back. But I think it's another thing, when you are working for yourself, that you do just unfortunately have to be a bit mindful of stuff like that, which, you know, and it was really sort of sad to read that makeup artist was going through that. But, you know, it's good to put that awareness out there. But apart from, you know, those things, our job is so fulfilling.
Amazing. Yeah.
It's so fulfilling.
I feel like so privileged, like to go into a wedding day morning and be like, you chose me.
Yeah.
And like to be a part of this moment, be a part of like the tears and the cuddles and the helping up the, you know, do up the dress, and not even just the hairstyling.
It's being
to be a part of the morning. Yeah. You know, it is
a special.
I'm like privileged. I'm like,
absolute privilege. To be a part of someone's most important day of their life. Yeah. And I feel like everyone. I was having this conversation before that we all get stuck in on the wedding morning. We might have finished the hair, but you know, I've changed nappies. I've, you know, moved cars. I've gone and put flowers on tables when they were running behind. You know, there's so many different other things that we do. Not because we have to, but because we want to, you know. And it's a really good fun morning to be a part of, isn't it?
Well, especially if you've got that time, like if you've done the hair and then you're like, okay, I'm just going to do the last minute touch ups, you know, and you've got that little like pocket of time where you're like, do you need any help? And they're like, oh yeah, can you just dress that table like that? Or can you just put my buckle my shoes up or whatever? And you're like, I'm there.
The amount of shoes. Someone asked me on Friday to do their necklace up, and I was like, I can't, my nails. It was like the most daintiest little thing, and I was like, but I couldn't do it. But you know, we always get stuck in, don't we? Always get stuck in.
Yeah, and that's just all part of it, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know. It's lovely.
Tell me a little bit more about your style of hair, because we have obviously everyone in the team, everyone's got their own little unique kind of niche. What's your, because obviously we've had Dominique on, hers are plaits and braids. She is like the braid queen. I hate plaits and braids. You would not get me doing them for any money. But what would you say is more your kind of niche? Because I know you've been on a couple of Hollywood wave training with me. I know you love your Hollywood waves, but also you do quite a lot of like textured styles as well.
Do you know what is funny? Because when I first started like this hair journey, like I was like smooth and like everything has to be
sleek
smooth,
and polished,
sleek buns and things like that. And then I remember coming to you for the training and I said, like, I really want to do all this textured hair up because I struggle doing it. So then I did the training with you, and then I was like, I love this. So I ended up just, I was going with it. So I can do both, but I tend to drift more into the textured side. Yeah. Especially with like clients that have like finer hair and things like that. And then, you know, it makes the hair look fuller and thicker. And they're like, oh my God, like, wow, like my hair looks like twice the volume. I'm like, it's like all the texture and everything like that, you know. So I've, I love that side, you know, all the textured thing. But I do love a braid as well. I love.
You can
like
have the braids. Have them.
Yeah.
You and Dom, I'm like, have them. But that's great because you know it's one of those, you know, people. It's very, very popular with you know, boho brides and things like that. So you know, it's important. I feel like everyone that's got different skill sets, even though the Bridezilla kind of branding is that we do kind of go along the lines of the more Hollywood waves, the sleeker buns. We tend to attract more of those, which is fine, and that everyone in the team is more than capable of doing those. But it's also nice to have, you know, talented team members that do things, you know, because people assume sometimes that I do everything or I can do everything. No, I can't. Absolutely not. I mean, like I say, my French plaits are shocking, and having a daughter, it's been tough over the years. But she's got in school going, oh, there's a bump there, there's a bump. Mum, you're supposed to call yourself a hairdresser. I'm like, I just can't, you know, I can't do it. Even simple things like pigtails, they were always like one up higher, lower than the other. I mean, but ask me to do an intricate, you know, bun, no problem. So you know what's
going to happen now? She's going to listen to this and be like, Mum, can I have that bun that you were talking about?
I did do a bun on her the other day, actually. And she was like, oh, that's quite good. I was like, well, that's what I do.
Don't say this every morning, though.
I do French plaits that's some mornings on her hair, and I'm just like, yeah.
Oh, you're very good.
It's not great. They're not
like,
great.
Whack it in a ponytail and off you go.
Yeah. Sometimes she's getting older now, so she actually wants to come on the podcast. She said to me, "Can I come on your next podcast?" And I'm like, "Why? What are we going to talk about? I can't have you on there." And she was just like, "Well, I can just talk about like what it's like to have a mum as a bridal hairstylist." I'm like, "No, Isla, absolutely not." But who knows?
What are you going to say about
me? She might come in. I could chat to you all day, but I'm going to have you back on. We'll do some more podcasts later on next year. I'm planning some other little bits and pieces to do with the education stuff. So I'd love to get you on that as well. Yeah. But I always finish off my podcast with like, funny stories or something that's maybe not gone quite right for you on a wedding morning. Do you have anything in particular that springs to mind?
Like, not really. And I actually looked at the previous podcast, and
there's some crazy stories.
I listened to Dom's one the other day, and I was like,
where she set the fire alarm off. Yeah. She did.
Hilarious. I was like, oh my God. But the only thing that's happened is that, like, I'm really funny about times and things like that. Like, I hate being late. Like, it's one of my things. Yeah. Like, I hate being late. And with one of the brides, like, I was like, hey, confirming, like, I'm going to be arriving at this time, and she's like, yeah. Turned up on the day, and then it was one of the hotels, and I got into the room, knocked the door, they're all still asleep. And I was like, I need to start work.
They're all still asleep?
Like, now. And then I ended up ringing them and things like that, and answered the door and whatever, and I cracked on with it. Every single person had like the most thickest hair with like massive extensions, but not only that, is that she said, I've changed the times, we're going to be picked up like an hour earlier. And I was like, oh God.
No,
the pressure was on.
It's like when you start really sweating then, don't you?
I was properly, and like these hotel rooms, they're small, they're hot, the aircon doesn't work properly,
there's one plug socket,
the windows open like this much, and so I was like, okay, Beth, focus, stop the chitty chat.
Just get this job done.
Let's get this. And I did finish.
You did manage to do it.
I managed, and they were very happy, and they went off. But I remember on the drive home thinking,
that was stressful. Yeah. I think sometimes when I always say, it's like, I think my saying a lot of the time is I work better under pressure. And I find if you put in that situation, you've got to get the job done by this particular time, and you do miraculously. It does come together, and you just do it, don't you?
I don't know how your hands just tend to work faster, like you say, under pressure, and you're like, I don't know how that actually happens, but like you say, I think when there's an end goal and you have to finish at that time, that's what you're doing.
I was a bit like that Friday, actually. I had 10 minutes to do a bridesmaid's hair, and it was like a high, ponytail, glamour wave ponytail. Nice. She had really long, thick hair, and it was just a case of the photographers, and there was a miscommunication, not from our part as such, but just in the whole timings. And it was like, actually, they need to be ready. Like the photographer's like, I need to start taking these photos of the wedding morning prep in 15 minutes. I hadn't even started her hair. And so I had to do this ponytail and wave it all in. But do you know what? I just did it. I don't know how.
Deep breath.
Normally that would take me a good hour. Yeah. But I think sometimes you do just have to, do that. And they don't tend to, I don't think people tend to notice on the day. You know.
And I think it's kind of like our job, isn't it, to be like calm and and then be like, don't worry, you'll finish at this time.
Yeah, we'll have you ready.
That's it. Yeah.
And your heart's just like pounding and you're sweating, but you're like, it's fine.
They'll probably look over to me and be like, are you okay, Beth? You're like,
well, at least our potential brides know that if they have you, Beth, on their wedding morning, you will be very calm, calm and collected under pressure.
And I don't run late.
And you don't run late. You're never late. No.
I just can't.
No. Good. Good to know.
It's not going to happen.
I'm glad you turn up on time. We are actually yet to work on a wedding together, but I'm hoping next year we will get the opportunity to actually do.
We have one booked next year, I think.
We have got a wedding, so we will be together working, which is going to be such good fun. I cannot wait. And I'm so happy that you've joined the team from being like a past student to not knowing anything, not knowing anything, but not knowing like anybody in the team, and sort of, coming in and now being a team member, I just absolutely love it, and I'm so glad that you've joined us, and I cannot wait to see what comes up next year for you and what we get up to.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Beth, for joining me today. And you're very welcome. And all your social links and website and everything will be at the bottom of this podcast. So if anyone wants to have a look, they can come have a look at your lovely work and the stuff that you produce. And we'll catch up with you again soon.
Lovely. Thank you.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.